713. If you ain't one, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying. Sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and Onyx. Find a rider. I get those goosebumps every time.
Newcastle United.
I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype. Throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time. Yeah, when you're not around me, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mags. Yes, sir.
Hey, yes, sir. We are back again. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC, the fully loaded transfer show. It is Tuesday. It is a good day. Newcastle United are all over the news at the moment. So there's only one thing to do on Loaded Mag NUFC. It's to talk about it. And the boys are here. We are here to discuss it all. Boys, how are we? It's not that long ago since we last spoken, and been basking in the summer signing glory. So, how are we feeling today, Daz?
Yeah, I think we probably spoke about 18, 16 hours ago, something like that. All good. Yeah, just a lot of moving parts, and of course, after we finished up last night, we as we always do, we chat after the show. The Sean Longstaff news dropped, so we'll go back on again. But no, we said we'd gather everything up again because there's a lot happening now today again. So a lot of news to talk about. So finally, though, it has kickstarted our transfer window. Probably what we thought would happen off out earlier, but it doesn't matter. It's happening now. That's the main thing. But Chris, how are you?
All right, mate. Yeah, busy day in work, but yeah, it was quite frustrating last night, wasn't it? Because we had a really, really good show, and then literally it was as you say, Daz, as we were speaking, moments after the show ended. Yeah, the Sean Longstaff news broke. So yeah, interesting. But yeah, things have really picked up in the last few days, and that's really good to see. Lots to talk about tonight. Looking forward to going through it with you boys. Obviously, catching up on stuff I've missed today. You know, not being very active on social media. So yeah, it'd be interesting to hear all the latest. Pete, how you doing, mate? You good?
All good here. All good.
Good man.
Yeah, enjoying the fact that the fan base is buzzing now. We've got a signing on the way, and we'll be discussing that in just a second. But before that, we've got nearly 200 in the chat. You know the score. We say it all the time. Sophie B's in here, so she'll be pointing the finger saying, let's get those likes up right now. Thank you for watching Loaded Mag NUFC. Thank you for tuning in and taking your time to enjoy a chat about all things Newcastle United. And look, make sure you're sticking around during the show tonight because we've got a prize draw, members draw in place to be given out at some point tonight. So make sure you're keeping a hold of that one as well. And of course, we have nominations for the Content Creators Award. If you haven't nominated yet, and if you would like to nominate Loaded Mag NUFC, we would absolutely appreciate that. And it'd be amazing for you to do so. All the details are in the chat right there. And yeah, if you feel like you want to give us a nomination, please do. The more the merrier, that is for sure. Right. We'll keep on this positive train, boys, because we did a little bit of a talk about Anthony Elanga last night. We will continue that positivity because not only have we got Anthony Elanga with the potential of wearing black and white, it's moving on and on and on. And at this point right now, we've had the here we go. We didn't talk about this last night. We even got a reaction to Fabrizio Romano's Instagram. Will Asula, is he doing the old star relief? What my work here is done? Quite possibly. He's definitely been at it. That's for sure. That and he has. absolutely been doing some great work. And look, just a little update, boys, with regards to this. There was lots of controversy about whether it was 55 rising to 60, whether it was 50 to 55, whether it was 52 to +3. Well, it's been confirmed by multiple sources today that it is costing 52 million +3. And what I think has got a lot of Forest tails in a bit of a twist is the fact that the add-ons are not that are difficult to achieve. So they're not easily achieved additional 3 million. Which, as I say, Forest fans are a little bit frustrated with that. So, again, a very good deal. As well as that, boys, I brought something in for you boys because I knew you'd like it. Obviously, Anthony Elanga's on his way, or potentially on his way, to Newcastle United, and it's being tracked.
So, I thought it's what we broke him.
Oh yes,
you haven't broke me. I just thought I'd bring a gift. I'd bring a gift to you boys. So here it was, being tracked. I'd love to go to Aberfear was quality, but that's where he's taken off from. Farah, I think it is. And actually, it's been tracked all the way to up north, and he's arrived in Newcastle. And boys, don't take my word for it. Take Keith Downey's word for it, and watch this. So Keith Downey, friend of the channel, always on the button. And Anthony Elanga is here. He's arrived in the Northeast. Just a matter of time, boys. We're excited to see that reveal. Anyone got any ideas of what they think it might be? Any particular add-ons? Anything that you're looking for in his reveal video that should hopefully potentially come out tonight, maybe tomorrow morning?
Well, you know what, Pete? I'm kind of so proud because you're now able to upload videos. It's great. That one didn't have music, so YouTube can't come after us for that one. But no, that's great. Let it be something. That's something creative. I hope they've had plenty of time to work on it. If so, bring it on. Something entertaining would be nice. Asula has to be part of it, though. Come on. There has to be some kind of Asula dance in it. And Isak.
Ooh. Chris, anything to add on that?
Do you know what? I always remember, and I still come across it now and again and enjoy watching it. The Alex St. Maximin reveal. I like if it's got a good tune and it's a little bit of a wait. You know what it is, but you're waiting for the big reveal. You know, for the player, the front shot of the player. I'd like something like that, but I agree with Daz. I think it would be great to integrate Will Asula in there somewhere, you know, just as part of for the part he's played in this transfer. Maybe even a little ditty of the dance that they did on Instagram. Who knows? Not trying to put ideas in people's heads, but no, I'd certainly like to see something like that. I think that would be nice. Or as Daz said, you know, like a little Alexander Isak and Emil Kraft. You know, like loving, little Swedish loving. I don't know, but either way, I'm really looking forward to it, and that's when you know it's real, isn't it? When you get your reveal video. So yeah, I'd be excited to see it. And hopefully, there's a good background tune to it. I always think a good tune makes all the difference. So yeah, that's what I'll be hoping for.
Yeah, hopefully it ends with a dance. I'd love a little Instagram conversation between them just to spark it all off.
Yeah.
Not that we haven't had Instagram conversations all summer, but I'd like that to be part of the reveal. A little Instagram conversation or WhatsApp talking to each other, and then boom, they break into a nice little dance to reveal the Newcastle United new signing. So let's wait and see. But it's great to see Anthony Elanga, and a lot of excitement being built, boys. But let's jump to and talk about the other news that we were going to talk about before, because I want to get your opinions on this, boys. Lots of people are having conversations about this last night into today. And it's the news that we just missed out on last night. You both touched on the Ornstein bomb dropped just as we finished our live. Sean Longstaff, a third offer, 10 million plus 2, yet to be at this point received or yet to have a reply with regards to this situation. Fabrizio Romano was very quick to then respond on the back of that. Personal terms have been agreed with Longstaff moving potentially to Leeds. Other conversations that today that Newcastle United are close to an agreement with Leeds for the deal. And what I like about this, boys, is that he's talking. There's a lot of talk of the fact that Sean Longstaff wants to go to ensure that he actually has be received for him leaving the club. I like that. I respect that. I think that's really, really respectful of him and shows his personality and his quality. The Chronicle have already said that bids has been accepted, and that Newcastle have accepted the bid, and that it's just a formality now of him doing his medical and signing on the dotted line. But boys, Sean Longstaff, very, very quick after the Elanga news, the right thing, the right deal, the right price. How are you seeing that, guys?
Yeah. First of all, the Chronicle. Yeah, Lee Ryder's been on the ball last while as well, so you wouldn't rule that out being accurate. Yeah, look at that's the bit I was going to touch on. A touch of class from Sean Longstaff. He could have collected his cash and gone on a free and got a big payout from somewhere, even gone foreign or something like that. But no, he wants to help out his boyhood club as well, because he knows the situation we're in, that we're struggling against the PSR. Yeah, I think we said in the squad game show, I can't remember exactly, but I thought we said like between 12 and 15 million. That kind of figure would be a decent fee for him. He's not going to get so much game time, and for his benefit as well as ours, it is best for him to move on. A great servant for the club. Remember him coming through, because I remember as well seeing him coming back from the Blackpool loan, and he was at the preseason game in Ireland, and he was on fire, scored a few goals for Blackpool, and he scored in the friendly game I saw as well. So, yeah, and he's scored some vital goals at times. And there was even an occasion, Pete, that I remember myself and you were saying there could be an England cap in him, the way he was at that particular time. Now, it didn't go great for him last season, and he kind of fell well down the pecking order. And look, he's got a tough test to get back in, to get into that team with the quality we have now, and it's only going to get more difficult for him. So I think Leeds is a good club for him to go to. I think it's a great signing for Leeds as well. I think he can help them stay up. So it'll be very interesting to see how he gets on there, assuming that one goes through, or it's already gone through. Let's see. Yeah, no, best of luck to Sean Longstaff.
Look, to Sean Longstaff is what Dad said. Chris, what are your thoughts on this whole situation with Longstaff? Were you expecting more from a price point for Sean Longstaff?
Do you know what? We've spoken about this a lot, haven't we, boys? And I think if you look back to the likes of, I'm going to use these two names because we've spoken about them previously, but if you look back to Harry Winks, Oliver Skipp, Tottenham got 20 million apiece for both of them. And in my opinion, and I'm sure your boys' opinion as well, Sean Longstaff's a better player than both of those players. So you could argue that, maybe a fee closer to 15 million would have been a bit fairer. However, somebody in the chat's just put it there as well. I wondered if the delay in accepting the deal was because we were trying to eke that little bit more out of Leeds. But the other part of me thinks, well, allegedly this is the third bid So chances are Leeds have done their own little bit of low balling, which obviously we're accustomed to. So maybe now we're at the third bid, we're pretty much near the maximum where they're going to go to. And equally as well, I think it's important to remember 10 million pure profit in this world of PSR isn't bad going for a player who, he extended his contract by a further year. We could have lost Sean Longstaff for nothing. And as Daz has already mentioned, he could have said, "No, I'll stay put. I'll stay where I am, and I'll leave in 12 months on a free and get a nice little signing on bonus wherever I sign in the future. Probably really decent wages as well." But the fact that he's leaving because he wants to go and play first team football regularly, and he wants to also help out his hometown club, speaks volumes of the player. And yeah, like Daz, I wish him all the very best. I think Leeds are getting themselves, I'm not just saying this, I think Leeds are getting themselves a very good Premier League player. And I think if you have ambitions of trying to stay in the league, I think signing players like Sean Longstaff is going to help you achieve that. I genuinely think it's a really, really good deal for Leeds. 27 years of age, still a lot of football ahead of them. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed with the fee. But at the same time, I look back to us potentially losing him for nothing. And, thinking at least we've got a decent fee for him. We've freed up a squad space. And more importantly, we're bringing money in. I mean, over the years, boys, over the recent years, we've seen the likes of Kieran Clark leave. We've been trying to get rid of Isaac Hayden. We've seen Jamal Lewis leave. We've seen Jeff Hendrick leave. All these players have left for either very nominal fees or no fee at all. So the fact that we're bringing in pretty significant money for the player is really, really good. So I refuse to be downbeat about it, I'll be honest. Even though I do feel it probably should be closer to 15 million, I still think it's a good deal considering what could have happened. So for me, I'm happy about it, Pete. I think it's the right time to move on, and I think it works well for all parties. And when you've got a move like that, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think if Sean Longstaff had been playing more football at the back end of the season, I think I'd have had more of an issue with the fee. But the fact that he was effectively sixth choice and he wasn't getting a look in at all, you don't want that player, with all due respect to him, hanging around next season when you want to try and improve this squad. He is the first port of call and we wondered whether he was going to be the first one out the door. In terms of the one actually being sold, because there's rumours about Willock as well and a couple of others, but it makes sense. Leeds, it's a perfect signing for him. Anyone in the bottom half of the Premier League should want and need Sean Longstaff in your team. He proved hugely valuable when we were down there in those positions fighting out. He's the kind of guy you want. But I'm not annoyed at the 10+2. That 10 million will be able to be invested and probably get a much better replacement using that money alone. So that in one sense is that like for like, and I hope that we do that, and I believe that we will get that replacement come in at some point this summer. But yeah, best of luck to him. Great servant, great respect to him trying to get a fee on the way out. I do have question marks in terms of how it will leave us for the European quota for homegrown, because he is one of those, and we don't have many in the team. So that's going to be a big question, or a big question mark that's going to have to be answered by Eddie Howe and the team. But it was needs must. He needed to leave the club. They were never going to force Sean Longstaff to stay and just sit on the bench. I think they respect him too much. I think they want him to have the best in his career. And I'll be honest with you, I think Sean Longstaff looked at Elliot Anderson this season and gone, I want some of that. Him going to another club and playing really well and having a great season, and getting the plaudits and the respect that he's getting and being talked about, as we've just mentioned, as potential England call-up off the back of his season at Forest. Sean Longstaff at 27 will be thinking, if Dan Burn at 32 years old can be given an opportunity for England, then I've still got a chance of making it. So he'll be thinking
about grandparents.
Any
Irish grandparents anyway? Sorry, I'm just checking out. Does he have any Irish grandparents? You're probably Scottish, I bet you.
Yeah, I think there's a Scottish route in there. So I think they've tried to get him before when they tried to get Elliot Anderson. So it could well be. If it doesn't work out for England, there are other nationalities, unfortunately not Irish, that can take him on. So
better off.
You never know. You never know. But look, good luck to him. Players out the door, players in the door. This is what we wanted to see. We are going to see this happen more and more as the summer unfolds. Just make sure we've got 350 in the chat. Make sure you're getting those likes up, people. Those of you that have just joined and didn't hear the first call out, thank you for tuning in. And yeah, make sure you're getting those likes up quite nicely. We can see them moving up. Sophie's going to keep track of that and let us know as and when they drop. Right. Let's get into the conversation then, because there's been a bit of a talk now with regards to strikers this particular window. Now, to begin with, Keith Downey actually today had mentioned about possible strikers. And he has mentioned today that once we complete the deal for Anthony Elanga, Newcastle United want a striker to act as a foil for Alexander Isak, and will prioritise that position. So it seems like that is the focus now that Callum Wilson has left the club. So, rolling back to yesterday, it was a conversation that we're going to have. So we'll have the conversation on this player first, and then we'll move on into a further conversation. One of the names with Callum Wilson leaving the club is one of our favourites, but Daz in particular. This man, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And TalkSport reported that Dominic Calvert-Lewin could well be a name that is in the hat to be Callum Wilson's replacement. And in fact, they go as far as to say Newcastle United and Dominic Calvert-Lewin have actually held talks. Ben Jacobs, friend of the channel, also touches on the fact that we retain an interest in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but there's an issue with regards to how much he wants in wages, and that proved a stumbling block last summer as well. So the Chronicle, and I haven't got those pictures to hand right now, the Chronicle had reported conflicting reports. One, that we were interested, and then the next minute they said that we had politely rejected the advances of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and his team to potentially come to Newcastle United. So there's been a bit mixed messages here, but there has been interest in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, is what I think can be confirmed by all of this talk yesterday. So look, we've revisited this conversation before in previous weeks. We'll revisit it again. Now that Callum Wilson is confirmed and out the door, how do you feel about Dominic Calvert-Lewin potentially being that guy on a free transfer coming in to Newcastle United? It may be a rinse and repeat answer, but I still want your answer regardless. So, Daz, tell us what your feelings are about this, because it's been split in the fan base. I'm going to be honest.
Do you know that scene in Austin Powers where Dr. Evil creeps slowly towards the microphone? I won't give any mixed messages here. No, no, it's a no for me. Look, if he was to rock up at Newcastle, of course, yes, we get him behind him and back him. He's a Newcastle player then, and everything that goes with it. It might take a while to just get over the shock of that as well, though. But no, I think there's better alternatives out there, and I do trust Eddie's judgment, and he probably could make him a better player. But injuries is the big concern for me over Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So I'd look elsewhere.
Chris, as I just said to Daz, I have to be honest. Hearing the Dominic Calvert-Lewin news yesterday, lots of reporters reported on it. Luke Edwards and there was Mark Douglas and Ben Jacobs, and they're all kind of giving their opinions. Alex Crook of TalkSport as well. But I have to say, in the fan base, I did find it quite split. There were some that were quite open to Dominic Calvert-Lewin signing for Newcastle United. Are you one of them?
I'm open to it. I don't want it specifically. All that I keep thinking, and again, you're right to say, Pete, you know, is it a bit of a rinse and repeat answer? But I just keep thinking, for me, this window, I want a right winger, tick. I want a striker. I want a central midfielder. I want a centre back, and I want a goalkeeper. Now, is that going to happen? Don't know. But I think the likelihood of it happening, if we were to sign a striker who is a free signing, I think it increases. Ironically, I'm not going to name the names because it will ruin the next segment, Pete. But of all the names being linked recently, I personally think there is more chance of Dominic Calvert-Lewin joining than the others, personally. And the reason I say that is because he's a free transfer. If Dominic Calvert-Lewin came with any kind of fee, I don't think Newcastle will be interested. Will Dominic Calvert-Lewin price himself out of a deal? Quite possibly, because I do have a feeling he's probably been used to those 120 grand a week wages at Everton, and he's probably thinking, oh, I'll get a nice little pay rise here. So if he comes to Newcastle saying he wants 150 grand a week, we won't have to worry about signing Dominic Calvert-Lewin because
Hold on. Is he on 120 grand a week at Everton?
He was, I believe.
What?
He was on over 100 grand a week at Everton.
Oh, pay as you play. Give him the contract we're offering Wilson. Give him that. If that's as far as I go.
Seriously?
Yeah. I mean, what was Callum Wilson on?
He was on about the same, but
Callum Wilson, pay as you play. The new one. I'm talking about the new one that was offered to him.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah. And the trouble is, you see, there will always be a club out there, whether it be Leeds, whether it be West Ham, whether it be Palace, if they sell Mateta, someone like that will offer him those wages. I just don't think Newcastle will be that club. Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't. I didn't wake up this morning thinking, oh, I hope we sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because I don't particularly want Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but. You know, similar to Jonathan David, not in terms of technical ability or the player, but the fact that he's a free, so that makes him more attractive in terms of it means you're freeing up signings elsewhere, you're freeing up money to be spent elsewhere. If you go and buy a 40, 50, 60 million pound striker, you're then going, okay, so we've still got to get a centre back, we've still got to get a goalkeeper, and we'd still like a central midfielder. Whether that free signing could be a centre back, a goalkeeper, or a central midfielder, I don't know. But talking about the forward, no, I don't. No, I would like us to get somebody else other than Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I can see why he's being linked, and I understand. I understand the links, and we know Eddie's a fan of him because Eddie's gone for him previously. We know that, so you know, I think we've all got to be on standby for that. But I think personally, Pete, to wrap it up, I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin will price himself out of a move to Newcastle United. I don't think he's coming.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing. I did not know he was on 120 grand a week at Everton.
High wages, mate. High wages.
That is high wages, and that probably feeds into why he probably hasn't stayed at Everton. I thought it was more of a case that he was like, no, I want to leave and go and experience something new, which is what he put out in his statement when he left the club. But I think hearing those wages now, it's probably more that they wanted a reduced wage. And he was like, nah, I want to be on the same or more. And as a free transfer, he'll be looking around at other players, Lloyd Kelly's and various others that have been on hundreds of thousands of pounds a week because of a free transfer. And he'll be thinking, this is my last big contract. And as on a personal level, as a person, you can understand him wanting to try and earn as much as he possibly can. But purely on a footballing point of view, he did talk about wanting to play in one of his interviews in the Champions League. He wanted to play at the highest level possible. And, you know, to price yourself out of a potential club that can offer you that, I think is crazy. But look, for me, he's not the first choice, second choice, third choice, or fourth choice that I'd be going for. The only way I'd be probably more understanding of this deal and maybe accept it more is if we got towards the last knockings of the window and we haven't got another striker in the door. If you're going 2-3 days before the window closes and we haven't got a striker through the door, I'd be more like receptive to him coming in on a free transfer. But at this moment in time, there are definitely other strikers out there, in my opinion. And I think there's a few people in the chat that kind of feel the same with regards to that. Lots of names have been bandied around, lots of opinions on names been bandied around. Cali Moendo's just been put in there by, is that what I want? Absolutely. Just one of many that we've discussed over the course of this window. But let's wait and see on that one. I think for me, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is one that isn't going to get done regardless of what club he goes to for a while. I think he's going to try and hold out and see who. It's almost going to be who panics first, because whoever panics first is going to offer him the wages that he wants. Because as the season gets closer, there's going to be a level of desperation there that teams are going to need deals done quickly. So let's wait and see on that. But he's not the only striker, boys, that we're going to be discussing. And the reason being is because Craig Hope brought out a piece tonight talking about a number of different topics, one of which was 2 Premier League strikers on the list of targets. And interestingly enough, those 2 targets that he mentions, neither of them were Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So that intrigued me first and foremost. What intrigued me even more were the 2 players that he actually mentioned. And the 2 players were as follows: Ollie Watkins and Johan Wieser. And he mentions in his piece on the Mail Online, the 2 names are those individuals: Brentford's Johan Wieser, Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins. Now, he talks about that Newcastle are interested in both potentially this summer. He does touch on, and it's important to note, that there is a problem, is that they both will potentially be fairly costly. And one thing that people in the chat and others have talked about is that their age. So Wieser is currently 28, Watkins is 29, little resale value, and in a World Cup year, would Watkins want to leave and be, playing competitively up against Alexander Isak for that number 1 berth in the team, which are all valid points. But boys, I want to get your opinions just on this with regards to both Johan Wieser and Ollie Watkins. What do you make of these 2 links? It says that the club are interested in these 2 strikers. For you, were you surprised at those links? Are you excited about those links? Do you think it's possible to get these players out of their respective clubs this summer? Daz, how do you see those 2 links when you saw that pop up? An hour or so before we went live?
Excited about it would be stretching it for me. A couple of reasons why. Okay, both good players and both would improve the squad. Both obviously better than Dominic Calvert-Lewin as an alternative. Both would cost a nice fee as well, even though you remember there's the Forest were after Wieser at one stage, and I think there was talk about 20 million fee or something that was talked about. But anyway, I don't know what you could get him for. Ollie Watkins, look, he was linked to Arsenal at that time, linked to a few different clubs, and of course we nearly bought him instead of Callum Wilson at one point. In the end, Villa went with Watkins after we got Callum Wilson. And the right decision at that time. But obviously, Watkins was the younger of the 2 and less injury prone. But Wieser as well, he's plays for Congo, and Congo are in Afghan. So that is another factor that comes into it. So he'd be gone for best part of a month over the busy Christmas period as well. But I think Watkins would be probably too expensive for us. We said maybe in our range, but then it's the AFCON thing that comes into play that's going to. We've ruled out so many other players we've talked about because of AFCON. Why are we not ruling out Wieser then, if that's the case, What's my team Monday? So yeah, I'd still be looking for their field, and I know Eddie will look to the Premier League first, but I'd still look, and I'd look for as well for me if I was making this decision, I look for someone younger and kind of he can develop and build into a better player and turn a 30 million pound player into a 55 million pound player, or even better. Who knows? So that's the route I would go down. So that's why I'm not overly excited about it. But I believe both. Well, we all know both players are quality and both had brilliant seasons again. And Watkins has Champions League experience now as well. So it's interesting.
Chris, your thoughts on Ollie Watkins and Johan Wieser? Interesting striking options. Does it tell us a lot about what Newcastle are potentially now looking for in the window?
For me, no, because I don't believe a word of it. I'll be honest. I feel, I could be wrong, and I have been wrong in the past. I feel like this could just be a little name drop, just to throw people off. I mean, just reading that, and it's the first time I've seen it, Pete. Just to quote that article you had up on screen then, the way it was like, yeah, they've been spoke about in the last couple of weeks. I'm sure they have, but I reckon it was quickly shut down. A 28-year-old and a 29-year-old. I have no doubt, and I agree with what Daz has just said. I have no doubt that if we were to get Wieser or Watkins, they would improve the squad. They would. But it just doesn't fit our model. The only way I'd see us signing a Wieser or Watkins, as they are now, would be if we were trying to get them on a free signing because the contract had run out. That would be the only way I would see us signing. A bit like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Because for me, I look and we've got Alexander Isak and we've got Will Asula. Now, we can't go into next season with Will Asula as the number 2 striker. We just can't because he's not ready. And there is still a lot of debate about whether he's really a winger rather than a striker. So for me, that's not an option. So we do need another forward. And to me, it's bringing in somebody who's more ready than Asula, but somebody who's not quite at the level of Alexander Isak, where they're going to come in demanding football week in, week out, because we can't deliver that. And we've seen, Ollie Watkins, he had a bit of a tough time with, he was trying to get in with John Duran, and then John Duran left, and then Marcus Rashford came in, and then he couldn't get in ahead of Marcus Rashford. I just wouldn't see Ollie Watkins then thinking, oh, do you know what? I'll swap and do exactly the same at Newcastle. Now, as you've rightly pointed out, Pete, in the past, any striker coming into Newcastle will get football. It's not a case that they won't get football, but strikers are a different breed, aren't they? Strikers, they come in where they back themselves. They're very confident, and they want to come in and feel like they're making a contribution. They want to be the guy. Now, the only way to get around that is if you bring in someone who's going to be the guy, but they're clearly good enough to still do the job now. You can't go out now and go and get a 26, 27-year-old who's at the very, very top of the game and persuade them to come and essentially be the understudy for Alexander Isak. I just can't see it. I'd love it to happen, but I just can't. I don't think we're at that level yet. So for me, I think if it were me, if I was on the the recruitment team, I'd be saying, right, let's target someone who's maybe between 22 and 24, 25. Someone who is of a good enough standard, but who won't command first team football, but who can come in and do a job whenever required. But also, more importantly, somebody who you can then later trade if you need to. 12, 18, 24 months down the line, if we need to trade, we need to raise some funds, and this player's come in, has a good time, but he goes to Eddie Howe, listen, it's been wonderful, but I want to move on. I want to go and play first team football. Still only 26, 27. Move him on. Nice little bit of profit. Go again. If you bring in a 29-year-old, that's not really going to happen. So for me, I don't see either of them coming in. If they came in tomorrow, like I say, I'd be pleased because I think both of them are good strikers. But I just don't see Newcastle in this model spending the likes of 50, 60 million on Ollie Watkins or spending upwards of 20, 25 million. I know Forest went in with a 17.5 million bid for Wieser, which apparently was laughed out. Although I do find it odd that they put the bid in the first place if it was never going to happen. I just don't see us spending a significant chunk of money on a 28 or a 29-year-old like that. I think we'd go in. I think we'd rather pay an extra 10 million and bring in a 25-year-old who, maybe is quite happy playing I hate saying second fiddle, but somebody who's not first choice, because Alexander Isak's first choice, but somebody who will be pushing Alexander Isak and will still get his cup games. He'll still get his sub appearances, and when we're playing, Burnley away, brilliant, he'll start. But you've got to find someone who's going to be happy to do that, and I just don't think Vissa or Ollie Watkins would be happy doing that.
I've got my opinion on it. I'm sidestepping Ollie Watkins completely. I think that's rubbish. I don't believe it. I don't believe for the money that Villa will want for him. He's still got 3 years left on his deal. I don't believe that Newcastle will put anywhere near that sort of money down for someone like Ollie Watkins. I think what was it? Arsenal put in 40 in January for him, and they wanted 60 plus for him. Nah, you got no chance. And as well, what did he get? Something like 28 goal contributions last season. That's a great return for him. So, and Villa are well in their rights to want that amount of money for him. It makes perfect sense. I've sidestepped Watkins. I didn't even when I saw the Watkins, I was like, oh, nah, no chance. I actually disagree to a point. I do feel that Wissa would come to Newcastle United to be that guy, to be that second fiddle. I do feel like he would, because that would be his step up into that next level, to go into Champions League football, to test himself at that high level. I think he seems like he's confident enough to want to be able to do that. And let's not forget, when Eddie Howe first came in, Callum Wilson was a 28-year-old striker, and we added a 23-year-old Alexander Isak to that. And that foil there got us Champions League football, of being able to rotate those two guys. So it's not out the realms of possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm saying with Wissa, it's not out the realms of possibility that a 28-year-old Wissa, who's got 1 year left on his contract, by the way, comes in to Newcastle United potentially and is part of and becomes the foil with Alexander Isak to be able to switch around. I think it's a valid point that Daz has made, and it's one that I feel could be a stumbling block too with the African Cup of Nations. We have to look at that across the board. It's for the reasons that I said the other day. We play Champions League up until the end of January into February if we play playoffs. And so what we need is players available all of the time. We can't afford to let someone like him go to the African Cup of Nations and we'd be stumped. That might be the difference between us maybe getting somebody else to come in as a forward to that, or we keep Asula. Because what was interesting, and Keith Downer mentioned today, that he feels that Asula may well go on loan if we bring another striker in, which is something that I would back. I think that's important. But if we don't get that striker in, or someone that's not at the level, maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Asula will stay as the third choice. If we got someone from the African Cup of Nations, for example, who was going to represent, could we keep Will Asula, who is continuing to grow and develop, is to be that guy for that short period of time, potentially. So there's a lot of potentials. Could there not be? But for me, do I see either of those players coming through the door? Probably not. I was surprised to see those names being linked. I personally think, and this is the thing about this window at the moment, I do feel there's a number of smoke screens going around. I do feel there's a number of links that are happening at this moment in time that are not quite where they should be. That, for me, is one of the things that I'm seeing at the moment. I'm looking at the Watkins deal and I'm thinking that's a smoke screen. I'm looking at the Wissa deal, I'm thinking there's a possibility, but it could quite well be blocking off something that's potentially happening in the background somewhere else. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I don't think we'll be waiting long for this striker to come through the door. I think Newcastle are act quickly, and within the next week, we'll be hearing of a bid in for whichever striker it is. And I think we'll be seeing a deal happen very quickly after that, because I think they're going to want both strikers available for pre-season to make sure they're up and running, ready for the season.
You know, I'm just going to latch on to one of the tweets I saw you send out today, Pete. Isn't it exciting that a striker that we don't know who We don't have a clue who. So it's exciting because we knew for so long with Elanga. Like it's great. We haven't actually officially signed him yet, but like with the saga was going on for so long. But this is like totally new, and it's a striker as well. We're not talking about a defensive player. It's someone exciting. Not that defenders can't be exciting as well and goalkeepers, but just a lot to look forward to on that front.
On this subject, guys, while we're on it, and we did kind of say that we would touch on this, didn't we, at the end of the last show? I've seen a lot of people in the chat, not just tonight, but in previous nights as well, talking about Alexander Isak potentially taking over the number 9 shirt for this coming season. And we said we were excited because the number 9 shirt was vacant, and we've been linked with a striker, a forward, whatever you want to call it. I suppose what I wanted to ask you boys, I've got my own opinion, but I want to hear your boys first. Do you see Alexander Isak swapping to the number 9 shirt, or do you think he will keep number 14?
You said you haven't seen a lot of social media, so you haven't seen our good friend Adam Pearson jumping out of a plane today with Elanga number 14 on his back.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so he's that confident that Isak's going to take the 9. Interesting.
I'm not that confident, I'll be honest. I think this number. Oh, sorry, go on, Pete. Go on, Pete.
Oh no. I think this is going to sound horrible, and it's not going to sound as positive as it should be. But I think he will take the 9, but it'll kind of be reluctantly. And the reason why is because the number 14 is special to him. Everyone has special numbers. But I think he'll take it because I think the club will really want him to take it. I think he may well take it because the number 9 of the historic nature of what it means to be the number 9 at Newcastle United. I think he may well take it for that reason. But I actually think he'd be more than happy to have the 14. I think he wants to keep the 14. He likes wearing the 14. So if he's right, he does wear it for Sweden. It's a little bit different with internationals though, because I think you do have to sometimes wear 1 to 11. You can't wear sort of like squad numbers. Even like Harry Kane, for example, like for England, he'll come on wearing number 18 or number 19, whatever, if he's been on the bench. Like that's kind of how they go about it, international football. So it's slightly different, but I do think he may well take it in the end. But I think he would be more than happy to keep that number 14. So I think it might be a little bit conflicted. And I don't think it will be set. And I'll be surprised if we find out any time before the season starts. I think it'll probably be announced maybe the week coming up to the beginning of the season. I think it'll be one of them that will have a conversation about it. And you know what, lads? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to put it out there. What better way to announce the number 9, Alexander Isak, than him signing a new contract?
Bring it on.
It would be the perfect way. For me, if you're going to give him the number 9, give him the number 9 and sign a new contract. If he signs a new contract with the number 9, have that as your promotion. Bang. That is just going to blow up social media for Newcastle United fans. That would be absolutely
Want a good video for that one.
I mean, me personally, I'll just throw my thing in at the end. I think Alexander keeps the number. I'll keep calling him Alexander. I think Alexander Isak keeps the number 14. I think the new number 9, only because maybe in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I think this number 9 that we sign, there's reason to be excited about it. And I think the new player will get the number 9 shirt. But I would not be upset seeing Alexander Isak in the number 9 shirt, and I totally get why you boys think he will take the number 9 shirt, and I agree that if he signs a new deal with the number 9 shirt, in fact, let me just throw one last thing back at you, boys. If Alexander Isak signs a new contract and he gets given the number 9 shirt, does that make you even more confident that Alexander Isak's going nowhere? Because to me, if he swaps over to a number 9 shirt, and people will say, well, of course he's going to stay, he's got a new contract, but I will still have in the back of my mind that there is a release clause within that contract. But does the fact that he take the number 9 shirt, does that prove to you that he's not going anywhere? Because to me, that's a sign of, I want to be the next Shearer kind of thing. would that make you feel more confident that he's going to stay, whether there's a release clause or not, because he's committed to becoming that, that legend at Newcastle?
I think, well, if you're asking me my opinion, it doesn't change anything. I still think next summer, there'll be a high chance that he leaves Newcastle United. But that's kind of been my opinion for a while now.
Even if he signs, Pete?
Yeah, because I being honest, Daz, I think signing the new deal, there'll be some form of release clause in there. I don't see in any sort of like scenario that Alexander Isak doesn't sign a new contract without a release clause in it. And it might be a clause to say, if Newcastle United don't get in the Champions League, he leaves for whatever fee it is. I hate talking about this because I don't want him to leave. I want him to stay. We all want him to stay, but the reality is different. If he keeps putting 20+ goals in the Premier League next season, he will be wanted by one of the best teams, one of the top teams. They will come for him at some point, and they will come for him with huge finances that Newcastle United won't be able to turn down. That's just the reality. But what I think it will do, it will hold his value. Let's not forget the magic 2 years where it's a very much on a knife edge and it goes either way. That is a factor there. And what we're doing by potentially signing him a new contract is knocking that down the road, that can't be used by clubs as a bargaining chip. What it does, it strengthens Newcastle United's position. It says, okay, you've got your release clause, it's in there. If we get Champions League, it's in there. If we don't, but it's still a high fee, and we still hold the cards. They have to pay the money if they want to take you out of this club, and it puts that in a position. I'm not saying that Alexander Isak wants to leave, by the way. I'm just being realistic in my thoughts of what I think will happen, because when you've got one of the best strikers in the world and you're not a team that's fighting for the title or fighting for the Champions League, you are going to have difficulty holding on to it. That's just the reality, and it's a reality that we've really struggled with because we haven't had that sort of experience for a long, long time, having one of the best players in the world and everybody wanting him. We've just not had it for a long time. And it's something we have to get our minds around. But I do think we'll still have that issue with him. It puts us in a stronger position to hold on to him maybe for another year. And it also gives us the opportunity to go again, fresh season. If we do really well in the Champions League, potentially pick up another trophy, get Champions League football again. For me, it kicks us down the can again. It means he'll probably stay another year. And then you're going into 27, 28 in terms of his age, and it knocks it on again. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Isak. I do think he'll potentially take it at the end, partly reluctantly because the club will want him to. But I think he'll be happy taking that 14. What about you?
I thought originally he wouldn't take it; he'd stick to 14. But as the day has gone on, I think he will take it, and I think it will be linked to the contract. It would make sense. It is important because it's the number 9. But once he's still banging in those goals, it doesn't really matter what number he's wearing.
And that's it. And it's a sentimental thing for a lot of players that they want to wear the number that they feel comfortable wearing. That means the most to them, and for them, that and we got to remember that like the way we feel about number 9 is maybe not the same as what other people feel it. But I do think it's a little bit fate related. It is fate. Like he's destined to wear that number 9. We cannot be talking about one of our best strikers in the last 30 years to wear the black and white and him not wear the number 9. Like even like the likes of Les Ferdinand, he went from 9 to 10. Andy Cole wore the number 9.
He wasn't happy about it.
He wasn't happy about it. But he did it. I just think for me, he has to take it, and I think reluctantly he will.
You have to have Sherry in the video as well, handing him the number 9.
Oh,
We should be doing the reveal videos here, shouldn't we? Some of these ideas, guys. Some of
Direction.
these ideas. Oh,
how good would
it
that
was
be?
Loaded Mag NUFC.
Big out, you just have number 9 black and white shirt there, just in the middle of the camera, and then you just see it drop, and it just be handed over, and then it pans out, and it's like Shearer and Isak shaking hands. And then, oh yeah, yeah.
It'd be special. It'd be special.
Write it down. Write it down, someone. Get it to the club. Where are we going next, boys?
There's a super chat.
Oh, is there? We've got a draw too as well.
And I hope I'll just flick it up because it just popped up now from Nobby Clark, and he says that my logic is flawed because we're winning the Premier League. And yes, I hope my logic is flawed. I really do, Nobby. I pray that the logic is flawed because I pray that we win the Premier League next season. That would be an absolute dream. For me, if we win the Premier League next season, Isak's staying for life. We keep him for life. He stays for his career. That would be the dream. But cheers for your 199, Nobby. Legend.
Cheers, Nobby.
Well. Boys, you are right. We are or had the intentions of keeping it short and sweet. I've just got one little update to give you with regards to this man, James Trafford. That was another part of the update in the piece with regards to it. Someone asked the question, where do we stand on James Trafford? There's still a part in valuation. In actual fact, it was mentioned that there's potential of it being a part by between 8 and 10 million.
Wow.
Talked about.
Jesus.
Yeah, in terms of what Burnley want, apparently they are really sticking to their guns. And as it says there, Burnley want to extract maximum value from the young England goalkeeper. And it does say in there, and I haven't put the whole thing in there for obvious reasons, it does say that at some point Newcastle United need to make a decision. So at what point, boys, do Newcastle United need to make a decision? Because it's I'll kind of explain what it says. They're about between 8 and 10 million apart in valuation. Apparently, over the weekend, there was a new fresh round of talks, but it didn't come to a resolution. There still hasn't been a resolution on agreeing the deal. James Trafford wants to move to Newcastle United. The wages and everything else, not an issue. He wants to join. But Burnley want maximum value. So that's kind of in a kind of short bullet point way in what the situation is with Trafford. So my question, revert back to it. At what point do Newcastle United walk away? Because we've all said we need a new goalkeeper this summer. So at what point do we look elsewhere, in your opinion? Chris, I'll come to you first on that one. Sorry.
Yeah. It's a great question, Pete. I kind of feel like
it's not what we expected.
No, it's not. It's not. I kind of feel like it's a. I never thought I'd say this about James Trafford. To me, it kind of feels like a deal that has to be done. I really do, because I know we've been linked with a few other names. Obviously, Juan Garcia was one mentioned earlier in the window before he joined Barcelona. Chevalier, I know a lot of people in the chat like Chevalier. Magic Mike, we have to mention Magic Mike. There's deals to be done out there, but I feel like Eddie Howe and the club, they've long pursued James Trafford, and it's a deal that we've wanted to get done for a long time. And for me, and I'm sure you boys as well, it's a long-term investment. This is a keeper who's going to potentially be between the sticks for Newcastle for the next 10 to 15 years. It's a long-term investment. So part of me kind of feels like, if Burnley want us to go up a bit more, we go a bit more, but we say, well, okay, we'll do that, but you're getting it in add-ons. When he's made so many England appearances, when he's made so many Newcastle, first team starts, and if you spread it out over the long term, this is a perfect opportunity. How many times have we seen the likes of Chelsea giving 7-8 year contracts out? I'd have no problem giving him a 7 or 8 year contract because of his age and the fact that he's a goalkeeper. I'd have no problem with it. Yeah. And it almost feels like you do whatever needs doing to get the deal done. That's how I feel about it. This isn't 27-year-olds who, you think to yourself, well, in 3 or 4 years' time, we might want to start looking to move it on. This is a player who's going to be here for a long, long time. And I understand Burnley wanting to, eke as much value as they can out of the deal. I get it. So I almost kind of think, well, yeah, do we just, or Pete, I know I'm segueing again here. Is this where you go back around the negotiating table and you start throwing other goalkeepers in? I mean, John Vuzzy's staying for another year. I never ever thought I would see that. 6 goalkeepers we've got on our books. 6.
He's mainly a coach.
You know what? No, just to step, not related to the goalkeeper conversation. What was interesting about John Ruddy in that piece for Craig Hope, he actually talks about John Ruddy and why they've signed him up. And it's nothing related to his actual goalkeeping ability. It's down to the fact that he's a leader, and actually he's had a number of conversations with players, like difficult conversations when I'm only assuming here when they've obviously not been picked for the team or when they're going through a moment. Like, he's one of the leaders that actually pulls them aside and has a conversation with them, and he's one of those that's confident.
Talk to John.
That's it. Exactly that. Go talk to John, or John. Go have a word. He's the hired security guy to throw his muscle around, but it was nothing related to his goalkeeper.
Football. No.
It's still why he's good. But sorry to interrupt. I just
the guy collected from the airport. Then you know how that guy. He must be worried that his job is under threat with John Ruddy around.
So clearly we've got good cop, bad cop. We've got bad cop as John Muzzy, and we've got good cop as Mark Gillespie. Right. So you want to be shown around the town? Go and have a word with Mark. Mark will show you about. Mark will give you the vote. It makes perfect sense. But yeah, I mean, it's so 6 goalkeepers. So we'll take away those 2 boys. We know what those 2 boys are doing. We've got 6 goalkeepers there, and I think there's a youngster included. So the name escapes me, but it's going to come a point, isn't it, when we're going to have to go to Burnley? Okay, well, we can do the add-ons, whatever. Do we try and sweeten the deal? That we've spoken about Vlachodimos, we've spoken about Dubravka, we've spoken about Nick Pope, again, who apparently wants to stay, and Newcastle want him to stay, and blah blah blah. But will it come a point where it's like we're gonna have to do something here, boys? We're gonna have to. We want this deal to be done. We don't want to go up to the 40 million allegedly that you want. How about we do something different? Let's have these conversations. Let's try and come to some sort of agreement, because James Trafford wants to move. We keep hearing it. Newcastle want James Trafford. Burnley have accepted he's going to leave. So there's got to be a way to get this deal done. But this is why, Pete, when you asked me the question, or me and Daz the question, I don't know if it was no, it wasn't last show. I think it was the show before. Who's the next signing? That's why I don't think it's going to be James Trafford. I don't. I think this one goes on long time. I do.
But
yeah.
I have a link in there, Chris. I'll get to it in a second, but I just want to go one of the things you highlighted, Pete. So we've got talk to Mark about the party, talk to John about if any issues. But if you're having love life problems, go talk to Popey. Evening, Shagger. He'll sort you out. But yeah, back to the question. Alternatives. There are no alternatives. It's Trafford. Trafford is going to get. But something I was going to bring up is, and I don't know how the championship works. Like Burnley coming from the championship, but Burnley's financial accounts they're not due until the 31st of July. So Newcastle could be playing some kind of a game there as well that they'll try and bring it closer to towards the end of July and see if Burnley blink on that one. Because as people said before, we had him a deal in place for 16 million. So then to jump it, if you're saying that's near 40, if you're talking about 8 million apart, then so that is just ridiculous. I can understand why they're calling them out there on that one. So but yeah, I'd say keep an eye towards the end of July on that one.
And just to add in, Pete, sorry, just before you say, we heard, didn't we? And I think it came as a surprise to us boys. We heard, the fact that I forget, was it Keith Downey or Craig Hope? It was one of the two who said the club fully expects Nick Pope to start the season. And if that's the case, is that why there's not much drama around getting him in? Because let's be honest, if we were, like Daz has alluded to there, if we were to bring in James Trafford at the end of July, he's not going to be starting the season anyway. So then James Trafford will just be integrated in, and then it may come that, when he's given an opportunity, if Nick Pope gets injured, if James Trafford has a fantastic cup game or something like that, it's then that James Trafford announces himself on the stage and he's the number one. So maybe that's why the club are a little bit relaxed over it. Sorry, Pete.
No, I agree. And yeah, it has. It's been said multiple times, even today. Nick Pope's going to stay at Newcastle United. He wants to stay at Newcastle United. He's not interested in making a move. So, regardless, it will either be Nick Pope starting the season number one with Martin Dubravka number two, or it will be Nick Pope starting the Premier League season with James Trafford as the number two. And it will be the case is that he'll be given he'll be given the opportunity to prove himself and to show that he's going to be number one. And actually, he's going to have to play at his best, because any slight mistake, Pope will be out and Trafford will be in.
Yeah,
and I think, by Christmas time, I do fully expect James Trafford to be number one. I absolutely expect that to be the case. But
I agree.
Just really quickly going back, because I know we're trying to kind of streamline the time tonight to make sure we get through everything. With James Trafford, I don't feel comfortable paying 40 million for him. When you're looking at, someone put it in the chat about Diego Costa of Porto being available for something like 42 million, I think it said in there. Like, when you're talking about a Champions League experienced goalkeeper who's also brilliant with the ball at his feet, like he's a ready-made top-level goalkeeper, going for a similar price to James Trafford, like Newcastle United would be in their best position to just go and grab that goalkeeper instead. And if you're going to be paying that sort of fee, and that's no disrespect to James Trafford, but it's a lot of money. Yeah, there you go. Genie Esther put it in. Like, it's a lot of money to pay for a goalkeeper. And you don't want that to start taking away from the fact that it's going to potentially hamper other transfers. That's what we don't want. So you're right. It's the 31st of July. Their books. Are they trying to get as much money out of Newcastle United as possible? Are they trying to sell other players so then they can hold their value on Trafford? Because I'll be honest with you, without Trafford, they're going down again. Like they are going down.
Only going down anyway.
Yeah, they are. But with James Trafford being in their goal, I think it gives them a chance. I think without him, the other goalkeeper in I think it was Max Weiss, has got no chance of keeping Burnley in the Premier League. So we'll wait and see. But it doesn't seem like it's a priority. It seems like the striker is the priority. I wouldn't be surprised if we do then get a striker, that the centre-back then becomes the priority before the goalkeeper gets done, because Nick Pope will be number one. A couple of last points because we've got the prize draw, remember, people, we'll get to that. Quick word on Scalvini and Ballardi. It was mentioned in here. They are both admired by Newcastle United. It could be that approaches are made for one or both of this pair in the coming weeks. For now, focus on completing striker and Elanga. So there'll be an update there. I don't know if we need both, unless we're expecting to sell one of our centre backs.
Jamal Lascelles?
Yeah, Lascelles.
I'm good, sure.
Lascelles and one other.
Yeah. I mean, particularly centre back. The reason I'm saying Lascelles is only because I'm copying what the media said recently, in that Forest need to raise their European quota, and Jamal Lascelles ticks the box for them. So that's the reason I'm saying Jamal Lascelles potentially. I don't see us selling Botman, Burn, or Shah. I don't think any of those go. But yeah, two is interesting. The only way I could see it, Pete, is if we sold Jamal Lascelles and another player, not a centre back, but another player, maybe a Kieran Trippier, maybe a Joe Willock, somebody like that. I still think there's one surprise to go. A player that we haven't considered selling. I do think there's still a surprise. Target, someone's put, Target, good show.
Target.
Yeah. Is that a surprise?
That's not a surprise. That's not a surprise.
He needs to go.
No.
With all due respect.
Yeah, he does.
Someone put in the chat earlier about his £100 a week. I still think that's a lie. It has to be. It has to be a lie. There's no way he could be on £100 a week. It just cannot happen. Surely not. But yeah. You know what?
The Diaz rumours are going up.
But Arsenal have been more linked. Every talk
they have.
about Gordon, if it has been Arsenal, not Liverpool.
Yeah.
But for me, there's no one that pays Gordon's fee this summer. There's no one that pays that fee.
How much are we asking for?
I think it'd be mad to ask for anything under 80 million. And I know we didn't have a great season last season, but that English tax, hey, when we have to pay it, we had to pay it to get him into Newcastle. We had to pay the English tax, the 45 million. Now we put an English tax on him. And for me, he doesn't leave Newcastle United this summer for any less than 80, regardless of what he did last season. But I fully expect him to be back this season. You know what? I expect him to hit the ground running. I want him angry. I want him firing at the beginning of the season. Because I need that season from 2 years ago back. He needs to produce that. I think he'll stay. I'm not even worried about or even thinking about him going. I'm not. I think he'll stay at the club. So just my opinion. I could be wrong. But boys, we've got a couple of things before we wrap. Where are we going to next?
Let's do the draw. Let's do the draw for the members draw for the Loaded Ultras. If you're not a Loaded Ultra, just click that join button. We haven't actually told people about that for nothing. Click that join button, and for as little as £2, you can become a Loaded Ultra and get yourself into these draws that we have every now and again. Let me get it ready to rock. Yes, it's working. Let's go. Chris, what is the prize?
Yes, so the prize for our prize giveaway in July is going to be £50 cash. £50 cash. Now that can go towards a new Newcastle United shirt, possibly. Maybe some retro clothing. Whatever you wish, whatever you so wish. But yeah, we wanted to celebrate. In fact, no boys, we're going to give away £52 cash draw to celebrate. To celebrate the purchase of Anthony Elanga. £52 cash is going to be heading to the way of somebody this evening. £52 cash. And I hope Wolfie wins so that he can.
I wish Wolfie was in the draw now.
I do. So we can be reminded and we can tell him the reason he's won £52 is because that's what we've paid for Anthony Elanga. But
we're going to draw this out.
Everybody.
We're going to draw this out a bit longer. Did you see Doors? Dor was live with his crew, and when the news broke, and the shocked look on their faces when the news.
I need to watch it.
It was on. I saw it on his Insta. Come up as a story there. So check that out. But yeah, best of luck to everyone. Let's see. Here we go.
Good luck, everybody. Good luck.
Best of luck, people. Fingers crossed.
Who's this?
Benny Greybeard. Wow.
Brilliant name. Brilliant name.
Congratulations, Benny. And not a name I've seen before.
No.
So much of the time. Congratulations, Benny. Nice one.
Yeah.
Nice one.
So the winner of £52 cash. Congratulations, Benny. Get in touch with me, get in touch with Daz, get in touch with Pete. Long fingers, but you know what I mean. Get in touch with any of us. You can even do it on the Loaded Mag, the Loaded Mag X account. Get in touch with us any way you can, Benny. Congratulations, and we'll get you that £52 cash sent over, my mate. Well done.
But if we don't hear back, it's going back in. It's going back in to one of our other members. It's going back in. So you got a few days to get back to us, and if not, we go again, people.
Yeah, Benny, I'm gonna give you till the end of the week, Benny. If we don't hear from you by midnight on Sunday, we go again.
Harsh, Chris.
Oh, I like that. I like that from Toon Army Netherlands. £52 plus add-ons.
Hey, like that. You got to be tuning in to know if you won. As simple as that.
Let's roll over, as Peter says. Yes, let's get to a few comments and questions. Gareth, who's just become a new member as well. Gareth, you'll be in the next draw, and nice one. So let us get one or two. Bill as well. has filling out the nomination for the Football Continent Award.
Oh,
So nice one, Bill. The link is in the chat and in the show description as well going forward. So you'll find it there. So anyone else that wants to consider nominating us. Okay, I might just kind of go one each, lads, just to speed things up. Shout out to Johnny as well, who was in the chat earlier. And he was talking about the Wisa from Brentford comment. Okay. I'll go to Chris on this one.
Okay.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Jamie Vardy?
Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Love Jamie Vardy, by the way, but he's well past it. But I love him.
Let's hear from Leicester boy. You have to get into this one, Pete.
Yeah, I'm not taking Jamie Vardy. I'm not taking Jamie Vardy at Newcastle. His legs are firmly gone. And yeah, I don't expect him. I don't expect him to play in the Premier League. I don't want I have visions of what he did to Newcastle United years ago and what he'd done in the Premier League. He has been one of the best strikers in Premier League history, but he is not that same player right now. And
I'd like to see him at Wrexham. I'd like to see him join Wrexham. First time in the Championship in a long time.
That'd be great. Is that true?
No, I'm just saying. I think I'd like it. Yeah.
And isn't he going Wrexham? Apparently, there's a link there.
Oh.
That would be amazing if it's.
That'd be great.
I'd love it.
If you were a Wrexham manager, Pete, would you sign him? There's an angling out there.
I'm trying. I'm currently fourth in the Championship. I've gone up every season from League Two. I've gone up every season. I'm in League. I'm fourth in the Championship. I think I've got 8 games left to go. I'll take the playoffs, but if I can sneak in ahead of Wolves in second and get promoted to the Premier League, I would love that. But I don't. I'm a bit like Newcastle United at the moment. Wrexham, I haven't got the revenue and the wages to be able to pay the big guns like Jamie Vardy at this moment in time. But I would love to sign him. That is for sure. But I did nearly get Harvey Barnes on loan. But I couldn't afford him.
Yeah. Later on the questions, I'll get to my football manager later save thing because it comes up in conversation. But I have to go to you for this one, Pete, from the Planet. Would you take the number 9 jersey yourself after your showing at the charity match?
The partner Alexander Isak up front all day long. I'll take that. It'd be a dream, but yeah, I think someone that's a little bit out of the age bracket right now. I'm in JB Vardy territory right now. Not a great age right now. In life, great age. In football terms, not great age. So I'd like someone a little bit younger to take that number 9 for us.
I'm going to ask you this question, Chris, because Pete will want to answer it. But Ten Hag wants to get rid of Boniface at Leverkusen. Cheeky £30 million bid.
Mate, I'll admit, I started this. That's the kind of signing I'm after. 30 million pounds comes in. Mate, it makes sense. You go into Europe, you bring in a striker who's more than capable of stepping in for Alexander Isak. What is he, 25, 26, something like that?
I think he's 26.
Yeah. It makes sense, mate. It makes sense. Come and show what you can do. He's been in the Bundesliga. Great fee. 30 million pounds. Just get the deal done. I would. I'd bring him in.
24. Great age.
Yeah, bring him in. European experience. He'd be great. He'd be great.
Okay. We know what Pete's answer is there, so we move on. Pete, I'll ask you at the next one. Nkunku for 35 million.
No. You know what? He actually, Nkunku fits the mold that Newcastle.
The profile.
Yeah. He actually fits it perfectly. He's a number 10, can play as a striker, can play in the little pockets, but he's just not fit. He's regularly not fit. And on top of that, he hasn't shown his ability outside the Bundesliga. He just hasn't. And for the money that Chelsea would want, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable paying it. I already feel comfortable paying any money to Chelsea because I don't like strengthening the pockets of someone that buys hotels or sells hotels, and sells women's football teams. But not for me. Not for me.
Wages.
Next one I'll answer Jack Rodini as a replacement for Longstaff. His name's someone that says come up. Someone I have in my football manager save at Southampton, but he can't. He's kind of a sub because I brought in Lewis Miley as on a loan from Newcastle. The championship here. He had could get him for that. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll see what happens there in that one. I haven't seen him play in real life, apart from the YouTube clips, actually. I'm going to go to... Who did I go to last? I can't remember who I went to last. Chris, I think I'm going to you for Nicholas Jackson.
No. Wages, ability, attitude. No.
Cool. Pete, your buddy, Metro's on fire.
Oh, give him the 45 shit now.
Metro. Metro would play second fiddle.
He would.
Metro would play second fiddle at Newcastle. I don't know what type of money he'd want. It is a different makeup. I'd say, I'd take Mitra. Remember, he didn't suit Rafa's style, but his style, he'd score goals. And number 9. He wanted the number 9 as well, didn't he? But,
the 4 and 5.
Yeah.
That's why he went for 45.
Oh, Mitro.
The song. Imagine the song coming back.
I'd have to speak to Turkey and say, look, get me his number. Let me get him on the show. That'd be great.
Let's go to these comments for their kind of linked to Bayern. I think Bayern come for Isak after Kane next season, and Bill at least. If next season Bayern offers say 150 million plus Harry Kane for Isak, would you take it?
Plus Harry Kane.
What age of Kane be then? What is he now?
33. It'd be 32, 33, something like that. By the end
there
of
does seem something quite fitting about him breaking the Premier League record in a black and white shirt. Though.
That fumes so many of the fan bases. one Newcastle player to the next. Having a Shearer to Kane. That would be that would be quite fitting actually. If that would happen.
Next thing I'm going to go is to Tom Dixon. Tom Dixon is talking about getting a tattoo if he wins the Premier League. Tom, you already owe us a tattoo after the cup.
Yeah, is it already?
We haven't forgotten, Tom. We haven't forgotten.
No, we never forget. Chris, we'll have to come to you with this one. See, Everton's sold. Guzman, even.
Yeah. My blue mate posted that to me today. He was overjoyed. But as Pete reminded me the other day, and I reminded my friend of this, I said, that's fine. I said, but remember, you can only sell your stadium once. So I said, be careful with your spending. Just be careful, because the Everton have got a lot of rebuilding to do. They've got a lot of gaps to fill. So yeah, I tried not to react too much. And let's be honest, boys, there's a loophole there, and if clubs take advantage of that loophole, good luck to them. Because at the end of the day, the Premier League aren't doing the job, and they're allowing shenanigans like that to go on. It's ridiculous. But we've seen Villa selling the women's team. It's stupid, isn't it? It's absolutely stupid. But he's absolutely buzzing. But good luck to him. But they've still got a hell of a lot to do.
Sorry, how much did they sell it for?
Let me just see if it says. Yeah, he was all made up before. Delighted he was.
So does that all go? Can that all go on to PSR then?
Yeah.
Is that why they've done it?
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Does it mention the fee? The one ordinary share of £1 that Everton Football Club Company Limited holds in Everton Football Club Women Limited, the compromising all the issued share capital of Everton Football Club Women Limited and the 2 ordinary shares of £1 each that the charger holds in Goodison Park Stadium, compromising all of the issued share capital of Goodison Park Stadium Limited. So yeah, by the sounds of it, from what it's saying there, Everton have sold Goodison Park to the women's team. That's what it sounds like. Tell me if I'm wrong, anyone in the chat, but that's what it sounds like. It doesn't say a fee.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out what that fee is, because whenever this happens, it feels like it's going to be a million miles away. When they announced the new stadium for Newcastle United, that's exactly what we need to do. And whatever price Everton put on theirs, we can double it, maybe more. That's what we can do right there. So
That's
all of this,
a valid point. Yeah.
all of this is great. All of this is great because we're just watching other clubs doing their business and selling and putting values on their clubs and stadiums and all this other stuff. Why not do the same?
Yeah.
Why not do the same? David said we can't. I don't know why.
Right.
Please tell me why. But even if it's not the stadium, the training ground. We move to a new training ground. So the one that we got. So the land. The houses that are around it, they don't want to build on that anyway. That's how we can get our money back. I think they're making additions to the stack, or so the council own it. That's fair enough. But we've got other things. The stack, for example, the training ground. We've got other things that can be potentially sold, and we've got our opportunities to sell off things and make money. So it's great for us to see the values that these people are putting on it. And if the women's team get into the WSL next year, if we get promoted next season and it's expanding as well, so more teams will be in it, so it gives Newcastle women's team an even greater chance of getting in there. As soon as they hit the WSL, and if we need to do PSR next year, boom, 100 million.
Can't say no.
300 million, whatever you want to do, whack it on there. Or do what Villa did. Sell just a small share in it and sell it for 70 million. Just a small share. We still own it. Still just a small share. We can do what these other clubs are doing. Let's play it smart. Let's play them at their own game.
Right, boys. Two last questions or comments. Endrick. Should we get involved in Endrick and then bring him on loan from Real Madrid?
I had this and I didn't think we could bring it up. Just because I've just put it in the rumour section. There. Real Madrid want to let Endrick leave this summer on loan.
Why not? Get involved.
I'd take him.
I would take him, but for me, he wouldn't solve the forward issue. He would be in addition. I'm not saying we shouldn't get him because he's not a 26-year-old striker, but all I mean is he's still an unknown quantity. But would I want him as part of the squad? Absolutely.
He'd probably want to play every week as well. If Real Madrid are letting him go on loan, he'd need to be probably the main man. Maybe. Yeah.
That's why they'd be sending him out there for game time. But he gets some games and he gets some time.
100%.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Last thing, so boys, comes from Neil Calvert. He says, I didn't hear this, but what do you think about Graham Bailey doing a Scouts podcast at the weekend, telling them Isak is available? Does Graham just go around pissing on everyone's chips on all these podcasts?
You know he does. Look, Neil, I don't care. I not you, just in general with the Isak stuff. Isak's not going anywhere this summer. People can say what they want about Isak going to Liverpool, being interested, being open, being available. They can say what they want. I don't care. He will be at Newcastle United this season. I'll point it out there.
And what better way to finish there? David H. Graham Bailey thinks Gallagher's better than Joe Linton.
Never forget.
I think we've lost our Dazzler.
Oh, I was wondering. I was thinking, Daz is about to say something.
Yeah, he's been very quiet.
But look, we're at that point. Daz has just gone off. We'll make sure he can come back on in just a second. But people, we are out of there. Make sure if we haven't already, did we hit our target 200 tonight? Did we get over it? I'm not quite sure.
Oh, I don't know.
Sophie can let us know before we're out of there. That would be amazing. Leon just asked when Sean Casey back on. Sean, I don't think Sean's doing podcast YouTube channels anymore.
Graham Bailey cut me off.
Yeah, don't worry. Sean Casey won't be back. Yeah, he'll maybe be on socials from time to time. But if he ever decides to come back on, of course, we'll welcome him back on because we enjoy having a chat with him. He's a good lad. But yeah, I don't foresee anything happening this summer. That's for sure.
188 likes, Pete.
Sorry, Chris.
Sorry, mate. 188 likes. We're 12 away.
Okay, 12 away. Oh,
we're 7 away. We're 7 away.
Oh, Sophie said 9. Now it's gone down to 7. We're getting those likes up, people. Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Absolutely spot on. And yeah, people, that's a wrap. We will be back tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes, and actually I have that, guys, because we want to tell people what's happening tomorrow. We won't tell people what's happening on Thursday. We'll tell them what's happening tomorrow. How about that?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Right, 7 p.m. tomorrow. We have Mr. Liam Kennedy joining us. Liam Kennedy from the Geordie Journos. Back to talk some transfer window and all things Newcastle tomorrow. So great to catch up with Liam tomorrow evening.
Is that him there with our Loaded Mag trophy?
Yeah, it is. That's the picture I had to take to send to Keith Patterson because Keith Patterson says said that Liam Kennedy said there's no way we're winning, and hey. We proved him, and Liam was excellent on the day. Actually,
he was.
Must have said that as well.
We'll have to make a trophy out for him tomorrow, Pete. Let him reminisce.
Yeah, I'll put it in. Let him
reminisce. Yeah,
absolutely. Love it.
Right, boys. As we should know, I'm going to play out with the Radiators, but just because Russ let us know as well, there's 30% off as well. So get on to Russ and actually contact him on. I have it here. The new layout is all confusing. Yes, so contact him on russ@theradiatorshed.com or on 077-666-04112, and he sent 30% off in July. Never mind that 30% off. So get on to Russ and he'll get you a good deal. Just mention Loaded and he will sort you out. That is it, boys and girls and everyone in the chat. See you in the next one.